Ivar and Eric. Oh, man, give me back my Raw War Raiders. Holy smokes. What is going on out there, guys? It is the final hour of Monday Night Raw live stream. Great to be here with you guys here for the remainder of the show. There, we adjust this there. There we go. Perfect. For those of you who do not know, I am Tommy on the Spot. Welcome to Watch Along Wrestling. We do live streams, we do vlogs, we do everything. And tonight it is the Monday Night Raw Superstar Shakeup live stream. Thanks so much for checking us out here today. Let me recap everything that has happened so far, because if you were like me and picked 5 folks to be on Raw, we're already like 10 or so deep, and we still have a lot more of the show to go. So it's going to be a crazy night. The live chat is open. If you guys are in there, what is going on? Glad to talk to you guys there. Let me move this down here so I can see the live chat. And great to talk to you guys. So live chat is open, and you guys are welcome to go ahead and sound off. Leave your thoughts on everything that has happened thus far and everything that is still going to happen here. We are watching the show live as it happens, the final hour of the show, with a huge kind of something to pull you in and keep tuned into the remainder of the show. The main event tonight is going to be Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin. The final night, one would think, for those three with the Superstar Shakeup going on. You got to assume one of those guys is probably going to be heading to SmackDown. So an end of an era, I guess, of one of the, I guess, more forgotten trios in WWE. They're going to be taking on the team of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Raw's newest acquisition. So we could start to talk about who we think that's going to be. Obviously, if you guys saw my little hotline I threw up there earlier, little video going through my 5 picks for the Monday Night Raw Superstar Shakeup editions, I'm thinking that guy is going to be AJ Styles. I think it's got to be a major hook. At the same time, I think that there's a chance it could also be Shinsuke Nakamura. So I think it could be a couple of them, and it could be a couple different people. I think, you know, having Shinsuke come out as a babyface would be something that I think is really cool. Could also be someone that they want to bring up to that level. Maybe debut a Pete Dunne at that spot. Maybe debut with Johnny Gargano and have them come out and automatically get the boost by teaming with the former Shield guys. So that could be fun. Already a commercial here for WrestleMania 36. No rest for the weary. 1 week ago today, we're sitting there Raw live after WrestleMania, live in the Barclays Center. And now here we go. April 5th, 2020, Tampa Bay, WrestleMania. Let's start the clock, I guess. But it's been a crazy night. Now it looks like Natty has come out to talk to Becky Lynch. And they went to commercial. It's always fun when they go to commercial on Raw, because you know live in the arena, they're just awkwardly standing there. Hopefully at least they cut a promo. Most of the time, though, it just goes to dark, and they like play a game like Sign of the Night or something to that extent. So very interesting to see kind of where they go from there. Natty's got the cat ears on. She's saying, congratulating Becky on a historic win. Already Naomi has came over from SmackDown on the women's side of things and teamed with Bayley earlier. No Sasha Banks, so that'll be interesting to see, and I guess monitor if that means that Sasha maybe will be getting more of a singles push and maybe show up tomorrow night on SmackDown. That would be cool to see. It'd be cool to see her get kind of that renewed push. And now Natty is talking about how she pinned the best woman on the planet, Ronda Rousey. Still playing off the fact that those two had that friendship and that personal relationship before Ronda left. And talking about how Becky won 2 championships in the same night. A big time, something that got a little bit of controversy. Conor McGregor had said that Becky became the first person to win 2 championships in the first night. And obviously Chris Jericho had an issue with that on Twitter. That's kind of been something to monitor along the way, and called him a mark. It's actually pretty funny. And now Natty's saying she's the best there is, best there ever was, and best there ever will be. So you're starting to kind of push this here as to where they can go. Now Natty is basically saying that she's coming after the Raw Women's Championship. So what I'm assuming is going to happen. I think this will only last 1 month with Becky 2 belts. I'm sure they'll be able to sell some shirts out of it. But you figure what's going to end up happening is Becky's going to defend one of those titles at Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank winner is going to come in, cash in, and win for whatever show they win for, and Becky will go the other way. one would assume that she may end up on the same brand as certain Beast Slayer. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it'll be interesting. I'm also very interested to see who goes to SmackDown tomorrow night. Already a variety of folks, and we'll talk more about it on the commercial. We'll use the commercial breaks to kind of catch you guys up to speed here. We probably still have a couple more commercial breaks. What time is it here? It's 10:15, so we've still got 45 minutes. I'm sure we'll still have, at minimum, 3 commercial breaks. Looks like Becky's left eye there is... Looks like she's got a little bit of a shiner on that left eye. I don't know if that's maybe just the makeup, but looking a little bit like it. Natty getting her chuckle on at the expense of Becky Lynch. And now the crowd giving Becky, you deserve it. This crowd has been hot all night. Montreal is a really underrated crowd. You know, I'd say they're right up there with Chicago as some of the best crowds. And they used to say that Montreal was Bizarro land, and they'd always cheer for the heels. Tonight, they've just been on fire. I mean, they've cheered for who they wanted to cheer for, but they've been, I mean, Shane McMahon had more heat than I think you'd ever see anybody have in the beginning of the show. I'd say, oh, here comes Lacey Evans here. So they're continuing her push, at least on one side of the women's division. Here she comes. And now it looks like finally Lacey Evans is going to talk. She's saying there aren't the two of them in the ring adorable. Natty looks awesome, by the way. Natty's got some great gear on. Sure, that'll be an elite figure at some point. But obviously the next elite figure we all got to get is the Becky 2 belts with both the Raw and Women's Championship. I'm assuming that Mattel's already working hard to create that. But Natty's got on some really cool Heart Foundation inspired gear. Got like the kind of the black and pink leather jacket going. Looks like they're really going with Lacey Evans here. I thought Lacey, from what I've seen, you know, on the Mae Young Classic and before she came to the main roster, I actually think Lacey looked great. I was not impressed at all with Lacey at the Royal Rumble, though. I thought that really did not look so good there. So Lacey is now staking claim to the Raw Women's Championship. Becky's like, hey, let's do it. So the McMahons are saying that Lacey Evans is going to be getting the first match here against Becky 2 belts. Says she's going to be facing Becky for the World Women's Championship. The woman's right is obviously her right hand that she did last week on Becky, and Becky didn't even fall down. Becky took it right on the chin and just kind of shrugged it off, which was not the way you'd want to make things work for the women's right to get that move over. But it looks like Lacey Evans is coming into the ring, so I'm doubting we're getting this match here. But okay, Natalya's going to face Lacey Evans here, and whoever wins that will be the first in line at Becky's Raw Women's Championship. I think it would be really cool if Becky kept both belts for a while and you had Becky kind of going between shows. Now, obviously, that's quite the workload, but at the same time, I think it would be fun. I think that in the past, they've kind of had the person hold both belts, but that champion, the Undisputed Champ, really hasn't gone between brands, and I thought that was something they were doing well, honestly, in the brief period of time. As we're getting a Lacey Evans match here, guys. Natalya going behind Lacey there. But I thought that was something they really kind of have in the past dropped the ball on. I think they could have done a lot more when it comes to that. And I personally just feel like when it comes to, you know, having somebody hold both belts, it'd be fun to kind of have them go to brands. And I thought that was something they were doing well with Sasha and Bayley. Obviously, they're not the champs now, but I mean, they were down in NXT. They were down on Smackdown Live. They were on Raw. And I thought they did a really good job there in really kind of building up Ronda and Bayley and Sasha as as the women's champs and going between the brands. I thought they were going to keep going with that for a while. Obviously, that's not the case. The Iconics now are the champs, but the Iconics were on Raw. So it looks like right now all of the women's champions will be bouncing between both brands. So it'll be interesting. It'll be cool to see. I will say, let's kind of go through what we've seen thus far on the show, starting with the way it started. Shane McMahon came out. My God, heat like you have not seen. This guy, got to give Shane McMahon credit here. And I know I'm a Shane fan, and I know a lot of people aren't, but you got to give the guy credit. Comes back, huge over babyface, a major contributor to the sale of WrestleMania 32. That match there with him and The Undertaker was one of the highlights of WrestleMania 32. And is over as a major babyface. People are really behind him. People are excited to see him out there. Now he turns heel, and in the process of turning heel, has generated a ton of heat, and at the same time is a big piece of, for in my opinion, what's gotten The Miz over as such an over babyface. Now, I realize The Miz is somebody who I think has also gotten himself over. I mean, he's a really likable guy. Specifically, I feel like on Miz and Mrs., which is a popular show, he comes across as a super likable guy there. But you got to give Shane credit here. He has really gotten The Miz over as a babyface. The crowd just can't wait to see Miz destroy Shane and come after Shane. So, you know, that's something that in 2013 they couldn't get The Miz over as a babyface. But they've been able to do so here, and I think that's in large part to what a great job Shane's done with this heel thing. I mean, every time he has the announcer come out and introduce him as the best in the world, the crowd just goes crazy at him. They did it tonight in the crowd with the huge CM Punk chant. And it's funny for a guy that really, you know, has made a name for himself on doing parody shirts. You remember X-Pac, you know, but it was crossed out on Pac and it said X-Punk. I'm surprised that we haven't seen Shane McMahon do a CM Punk inspired shirt, you know, with the fist and the big X and all that. I think that really could have done a lot for his character to have him come out with the big X. And I think that it would have done, in my opinion, a lot for Shane and for, you know, to generate that heel heat, but he's done a great job. So first order of business there, first Raw draft pick is The Miz. Miz comes out there, huge monster baby face. So excited to see him. Shane knocks him out immediately, knocks him over the barricade. Miz gets busted open pretty damn good here. Miz is out there over the barricade. He's looking like just cut up like you wouldn't believe. And what ends up happening is actually kind of interesting because Miz ends up turning around and coming back. And when he does, he like wails Shane with a chair. So in all honesty, Shane really got the upper hand on Miz right away. Miz came out like a fiery babyface. Shane took it over right away. And in doing so, I think it kind of made Miz look a little weak. But Miz came right back, hit Shane over there with the chair, jumped over the barricade, and was really just going at Shane pretty hard. So I thought it was good stuff. I thought it was something that I thought they did a good job with. That being said, I thought that it was just cool to see the crowd so behind Miz. Miz was so over, and I know the crowd was amped, and it was early in the show, and they really were just booing the hell out of McMahon's. But really, Miz has gotten over as a major babyface, and now back on Raw. So he's kind of gone, each one of these Superstar Shakeup series gone from SmackDown to Raw to SmackDown, now back to Raw. And I guess will be one of the top babyfaces on that brand, but away from Shane McMahon, with obviously Shane on SmackDown. So I'm thinking they'll do one more match between the two of them, probably at Money in the Bank, and blow that off. Back here from commercial break now, Natty working over Lacey Evans, trying to get the sharpshooter in. Lacey getting out of the way there. Now Lacey going around the corner. Natty with a kind of missile drop kick there to the outside. Knocks Lacey good, knocks her onto the ground. And now Natty throwing Lacey Evans back into the ring. And Natalya running after Lacey with rights and lefts. But a crazy week, you'd have to assume, for Natty. Obviously, she was a major part of the Hart Foundation induction in the Hall of Fame when Bret Hart got attacked by the fan. Not only did the fan attack Bret Hart, but really knocked Natty down too. So obviously a scary situation. Obviously an emotional time for Natty, inducting her father into the WWE Hall of Fame. As Lacey Evans taking Natty's head, banging her into the bottom turnbuckle there, as they show Becky Lynch already backstage watching on. You wonder why they didn't just have Becky Lynch sit outside and do commentary. I thought they could have had a nice little stare down and kind of go from there. I would be absolutely stunned if Natty gets the win here, as Lacey Evans has Natty in a bit of a, looks almost like a $1 million dream lock here. But yeah, so Miz on Raw. From there, they did also announce that Cedric Alexander will be coming to Raw. I think that we could start the clock on how much longer he's going to have Cedric in his name. Just feels like I could absolutely see him as Alexander next week. They're already starting with the Age of Alexander stuff. and he's going to be over there on Raw, coming from 205 Live. So 205 Live, very much involved in the shakeup. So what I'm thinking is there's reason to actually tune into 205 Live tomorrow to see kind of who goes over there. What I thought was going to happen was one of two things. I thought they were going to look for that next guy to kind of carry the brand, that face of the brand, something that they really originally had pegged Enzo Amore for, and actually did a couple of soul touring shows for 205 Live with Enzo in the main event. And what I thought they were going to eventually do was do a deal where he basically, they did something where Enzo he was kind of taking over the brand. He was kind of the face of the brand. At the same time, I think that what they could have ended up doing now was having either Johnny Gargano or Rey Mysterio. And I know people are going to be really unhappy if Johnny Gargano goes over there, but people will watch if Gargano's on the show. 205 Live, those guys are killing it right now. They're having great matches. I feel like, unfortunately, there's just so much on that folks don't get a chance to watch. And it's also in an absolutely terrible spot where basically the pre-show comes on after the main show on SmackDown. Like, kudos to everybody who was there last week at SmackDown Live and then stuck around for 205 Live, because at that point you've probably seen so much wrestling, and we're just kind of trying to take in the last little bit. But I thought maybe they'd actually have Mysterio go over there, have him as the face of the brand. But Mysterio ended up coming here to Raw, and looks like he is going to be coming on. He'll be now on Raw. He did look a little banged up when he came out. Obviously, he's dealing with an injury. That's why his match with Samoa Joe was so short. He came out, though, this week, interrupted Elias, who got over like a major heel by talking about how the Canadians had not made the NHL playoffs, like Elias does. And what they ended up doing was they had a situation basically where Elias ended up coming in. Rey Mysterio, rather, ended up coming in, got laid out Elias, chased him off, and then, there's the woman's right there from Lacey Evans. I'm pretty sure that's all she wrote. So Lacey got out of the sharpshooter, hits her with the woman's right, and now Lacey climbing up to the second rope here. Ooh, that looked like it hurt. So what Lacey Evans does, she goes up to the second rope, then jumps up to the top rope, spins around and hits a moonsault as her finish. But while she did it, she ended up getting like knees first into Natty. This thing looks stiff as hell. And hope Natty's okay. Yeah, Natty's writhing in pain. I would not be surprised if that was shoot pain too, because it looked very much like it was a world of hurt there for Natty. So, it'll be interesting to see. It looks like now Lacey Evans will get the first shot at Becky. A really cool finish, super athletic. I think she looked good doing it. I know some people are not going to be happy with Lacey Evans, but hey, everyone wants a new person in the mix for titles all the time. So hey, it is kind of what it is. Maybe Lacey will be able to have a decent match with Becky. I mean, this is someone who is very athletic, so we'll have to see. In any event, tag match, Ricochet and Aleister Black are staying together. They even made a mention of saying that they're a duo. They travel together. They came out, the team with Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. One thing that was really interesting, not really interesting, but as people talking, they added a little like bullet sound or something for Ricochet's theme, like right beforehand, which definitely sounds a little strange, but gets things going. And as they show Charlie here outside of the men's locker room. And now here comes Roman and Seth, and they look very happy. Now, obviously, we'll talk about it here once we get to commercial. Let's see if Roman and Seth have anything specific to say kind of as they go through from there. They're gonna hold it off. Of course, they're gonna hold it off. It's kind of. They're talking about Seth saying it's the honeymoon phase, life's good. I'm assuming one of these two is going to SmackDown. I think if Kofi ends up being the third partner here, I think that means that they're kind of splitting him off from the New Day. And I think he'll be the champ on Raw, and I think Seth will go there to SmackDown tomorrow. I think more likely it's not going to be that. I don't think they're going to split off Kofi and the New Day because there's so much story to be told between those two guys. Remember, end of the day, Kofi got this shot in the title match because of the efforts of Big E and Xavier. And obviously right now, by the way, obviously thoughts with Big E. He's in a lot of pain. Just had meniscus surgery, so he's going to be out for a while anyway. So I don't anticipate that it's going to be Kofi. I think more likely it's going to be someone like an AJ Styles or someone like I would love to see Shinsuke, but again, it could be someone they're bringing it up as well. And if they do that, I think more than likely you're going to have then Roman heading to SmackDown tomorrow night. They're going to have to build up SmackDown, and I think tomorrow's going to be really interesting to see who are going to be positioned as the big names on SmackDown, while SmackDown's going to be in this before the next Superstar Shakeup. And they could always change things, but you would assume they won't. You would hope they wouldn't, again, before the next Superstar Shakeup. So tomorrow is really going to be those guys that are put on the SmackDown. That's going to be your SmackDown roster when SmackDown moves to WrestleMania. I mean to the Fox Network. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where they go from there and kind of what they do. So remains to be seen. I'm interested, though. I think that, I would be surprised, though, if Roman and Seth are on the same brand. I think that Seth needs an opportunity to shine as the top guy, and he doesn't get it with Roman there. Roman is the top guy. Roman's Roman's been in 4 WrestleMania main events. He's going to outshine anyone who's going to be the champion that's there with him, except Kofi right now, because I think Kofi has so much momentum. And I know Seth has a lot of momentum too, but I think Kofi right now is just people are really excited about him being the champ. So, send Roman over there, see how it goes. I think that if Roman goes to SmackDown, there's a lot of fresh matchups with him. I'd love to see him and Daniel Bryan. I know they fought years ago, but I'd love to see them do it kind of with Daniel Bryan as in his new character where he's at. I'd love to see Roman Reigns going off against a variety of folks that are over on SmackDown. Of course, a lot of those guys are now on Raw, so you already have the fresh matchups. But I think it's important for Seth to kind of have an opportunity to carry the Raw brand. And I think that, you send Roman Reigns, the biggest star over to SmackDown, it shows you that you're taking SmackDown a little seriously. And it's also something that I think people will be excited to see. I remember years ago, Triple H ended up going to SmackDown, and they flipped it like the next day. They ended up sending him right back to Raw. And it was kind of like, well, what was the point of all that? But by doing that, for a minute, it was like, oh, man, they're really taking SmackDown serious because Triple H was like the guy who had never been on the SmackDown. And it never ended up going on like years and years later. But had gotten drafted at the point when he was like the guy, the game. So it'll be interesting. I'm intrigued as to how it goes tomorrow on SmackDown, but I do think you got to take Roman away from Seth if you want Seth to be seen as the guy and to be that champion. So it'll be fun. So in any event, let's go through some of the other call-ups. So we were talking about the tag match. You were there. It was Ricochet and Aleister Black teaming with Hawkins and Ryder against the Revival and the Viking Experience, Ivar and Eric. And if those names don't sound familiar to you, that's because those names are very silly. And those names are the new names of the War Raiders. So if you guys have not heard about this, you guys haven't seen any of this, the War Raiders are now brought up to Raw. They are still the NXT Tag Champs, but now go by the name, at least on Raw, as the Viking Experience, Ivar and Eric. And it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, man. The only good thing, they're built up like monster heels. They destroyed Hawkins and Ryder, pinned them flat, middle of the ring. So at least they'll be taken as serious for that. But they have some goofy headgear that they were given. I don't know. I will say, though, I really think if they were brought up as babyfaces, it would only be a matter of time before those guys were coming out and acting like Shrek and acting completely silly. At least as heels, they could build them up as a dominant team. The only thing I didn't even like about it was at the end they kind of raised hands with the Revival, and I would have just loved to lay out the Revival. Like, no one can mess with them, So that was pretty much that. They also then did a deal where basically, as I said, Naomi She also came up to the roster there. You had Rey Mysterio come up to the roster, as I mentioned earlier. Lars now will also be, looks like he's specifically a Raw guy, and also seems to have his last name back. Lars was cut to Lars. Tonight, though, was going by Lars Sullivan. So interesting to kind of see how that goes. I don't know if he's going to now be Lars Sullivan, but it certainly seemed that way tonight. We also got what is this another continue? This might just be a commercial. But now every time I see dolls or anything, I'm immediately assuming this is more of the continuation of the kind of that box that we've been seeing with what looks like a reincarnation of Bray Wyatt, and it seems like we're getting it again. Bunch of different toys here. You've got a teddy bear. You've gotten some dolls there. And it looks like they're really a rocking chair. I mean, if you didn't think this was Bray Wyatt, now I don't know what to tell you, because clearly, whoa, they got a stuff of nightmares, man. If I was a kid and this little demon doll that you're seeing on the screen right now was there with laughing and all that, I wouldn't sleep for a week. But yeah, this is clearly something that they're doing to reintroduce the Bray Wyatt character, even showing the kind of that they kind of do with the lights at the end there. Crazy stuff, and definitely a little creepy to say the least. But it looks like that is the new character and the new direction they're going with Bray Wyatt. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you guys are thinking or digging the new Bray Wyatt character, let me know. If you guys think it's super lame, I'm kind of with you for now, but we'll see where it goes. I think Bray Wyatt was definitely in need of something. They did a deal where EC3 came out and basically was saying that it is what you're seeing here, was saying he wanted some competition. Braun came out, destroyed EC3 in 2 seconds flat. So if you thought they had some hope for EC3 and maybe he was going to be the top 1% here on Raw, certainly does not look like it. He was destroyed, and you know, no, and now they're doing the whole Baron Corbin entrance and introduction. So now Shane gets his own entrance, Corbin gets his own entrance, and it's just, you know, at least with Corbin and Shane, these entrances, they're kind of both doing the same type deal, but they're really generating a ton of heel heat for both of them. While they're coming out, I'll talk about some other stuff. If you are going to check out one thing of this show and go out of your way to check this out, a segment of this show for me thus far, Sami Zayn. Holy crap, incredible. Guy comes out, entrance music's blaring, the entire place is going crazy for him because we're in Montreal, remember that. The place is screaming the lyrics of this song. Comes out, joins Alexa Bliss for Moment of Bliss, sits down in the chair, gets back up, they play the song again, place is going nuts, gets back up, plays the song a third time, place is going insane. Sami Zayn gets up, starts speaking French, the place is just losing their mind, and he even mentions it. He's even like, hey, watch me turn this up a notch, and talks about how he gets up there, he speaks French, everybody's going completely insane. It's like, watch me turn it up a notch again, gets up there, it starts an Olay chant, place is eating this up. And then immediately turns around and says, all right, you know what? Montreal's a great city. I love being here, but I hate the people here. And turns the crowd instantly. It was a work of art, one of the best performances, I think, of Sami Zayn's career. He's been on fire since he's returned. And then really put it over the top by saying how happy he was to leave Montreal and move to beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida. And while I'm a fan of Orlando, Florida, the way he said it couldn't have been more heel-like. And then Alexa Bliss kind of seemed like she turned babyface a bit. It seemed like I don't know, they've kind of been teeter-tottering on, like, maybe she's kind of been a bit of a tweener. She was a straight-up babyface, said, this Sami, this isn't you that, it isn't the people's fault that they are who they are. It's your fault. And really kind of put the blame on him. So that was really interesting. I liked it a lot. I thought that was good stuff. So go out of your way to check that out, as here comes the big dog, Roman Reigns, making his way down the aisle here. Can't tell here. Let me know. It looks like the crowd is showing applause here. It was smart to a certain degree to keep Roman off Raw after Mania last week. I think that crowd would have probably booed him pretty hard. That was a rough crowd last week. I think a lot of people were just really tired from WrestleMania. Roman did come out afterwards. I have a video up on my page there. What happened when Raw went off the air. Little Dean Ambrose tribute. And when Roman came out, people booed him. So I think it was smart to keep him off television last week. If, you know, you've gotten him to a point where he's a, you know, natural babyface now, and you know, it's interesting to see they've tried so hard for so many years to get Roman to that point where he's embraced by the crowd and cheered by the crowd. And so, you know, I think they want to kind of really proceed cautiously there. I don't think he'll be in the title picture for a little while. I think it's going to be, I'd say, you know, culmination might be even at, you know, next year's Mania. I wouldn't be surprised to see Roman out of the title picture until next year's WrestleMania, just to kind of make sure the crowd, you know, it continues to see him as, you know, a guy they want to get behind and continue to get behind. So here comes Seth Rollins, and looking good here with the Universal Championship. Now, my prediction here is AJ Styles. I know that AJ Styles, there's some things going on with him. People are saying, hey, AJ's got a situation where he's hurt. He's a little banged up. But I don't know. Hey, what's going on, Charissa? And they're showing now that the Shield is going to be the Shield's coming out. They're doing a Shield special on the WWE Network, and that's going to be coming out at 9:30 Eastern Time this Sunday. So they're continuing to do that, kind of the final chapter deal for the Shield next week, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. I think that the two, you know, they've been doing these specials on the network. So here we go. Let's see who the mystery person, the brand new person here on Monday Night Raw is going to be. And looks like my feed here on the Hulu has died. So you guys will have to let me know who it is as I try to get it back up and going here. Love Hulu with live TV, but it seems like sometimes. All right, here we go. So back here now. Still don't have the guy out here yet. So here we go. The mystery opponent, mystery partner is AJ Styles. Nailed that there. Big time get for Raw. And the first time that AJ Styles has been on Raw since they did the brand split. He's been that one guy who they've kept apart and kept away from Raw entirely. They've had him be that guy who was the face that runs the place, the champ that runs the camp of SmackDown. This is similar, and I said this earlier when I was doing my 5 people I want to see on Raw, and AJ was the first one I mentioned. This is similar and feels very similar to the time when John Cena came over to Raw when they first did the shakeup years ago, when he came out on the set of you know, the highlight reel, joined Jericho on there. And they did a situation where that felt like a big deal because they had kept Cena completely on SmackDown, and he was the champ. So he shows up to Raw as the champ, and I remember it was like, oh my God, both champs are on one brand. And of course, by the end, they did it like over a month, got both champs on one show, one pay-per-view, and then eventually switched Batista to SmackDown. But at the time, it was a big deal. So AJ Styles coming to Monday Night Raw. Let me know what you guys think about this. You guys think this is great? You guys think this is, you liked AJ on SmackDown? I think this is awesome. I think that this, in my opinion, solidifies that you're getting somebody from this mix over to SmackDown, whether that be Rollins, whether that be Roman, which is what I think, the direction I think they're going. I think that, you know, you're getting, this is the top guy from SmackDown, and he's basically done it all on SmackDown. He's faced everyone. He's had a feud with everybody on the brand. So this gives him now a new fresh coat of paint. He could have fresh matchups, and you know, that crowd that is so used to seeing AJ Styles on Tuesdays will have to come over and see AJ Styles on Monday nights. So it's cool, man. I think it's great. I'm excited about it, and AJ Styles, probably the biggest name to come over thus far in the Superstar Shakeup. Another great name, though, that did come over that I did predict over on my predictions. The only two I think I got right, because Asuka's not come over. I said her. She didn't come over. No Pete Dunne. Hope he comes up tomorrow night. Worried, I guess, that he'd go to 205 Live, though I do think he's over 205. And the Usos, who are on Raw. And I think that they were there on Raw, and they looked great. And it came out, took on Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, looked like $1 million. I think that, you know, the Usos are another one. The Usos are a cornerstone of SmackDown Live for years now. I feel like literally years. It's been the Usos versus the Bar versus the the New Day. And those three teams have been your entire SmackDown tag team division. Now the Usos come over. You've got the Viking Experience. We'll say that with a roll of the eyes. You have Hawkins and Ryder. You have Gable and Rude, though I think they're on borrowed time. I think you'll see them split up tomorrow. You have the Revival. You have Aleister Black and Ricochet. Fun, fresh new teams to have matchups against the Usos. And I just think that is something that, you know, you can look forward to, and it's something definitely good for the Usos to have that, again, that fresh coat of paint and to kind of get a bit of a reset there. And obviously you had to figure the Usos were on their way when you saw Naomi. I know sometimes they split folks, and right now it doesn't look like Charlotte Flair is coming out on Raw. So it looks like, because another entry that we didn't talk about, Andrade and Zelina Vega both came over to Raw. Andrade and Finn Balor tore the house down tonight. Probably the match. So that match was really good. That was a top match. I like the tag matches as well. I thought those were both good as well. So definitely check that out. But I thought that Finn Balor and Andrade had a great match tonight. Andrade was announced as being the McMahon's hand-picked opponent for Finn Balor. So looks like Andrade is getting that kind of spotlight to be on Raw, and at the same time is still going to be able to continue whatever he was doing in that unfinished business he had with Mysterio, because both of them now have been brought over to Raw. Of course, it's no secret, they were very public about it on social media and at the WWE Hall of Fame, that Andrade is now seeing Charlotte Flair, and it does not appear that Charlotte is coming over to SmackDown. So that's one couple that unfortunately looks like they're not going to be together after this brand split, which has got to be tough, especially they're a relatively new thing, and we'll see where it goes. All right, so Rollins now in the ring here with Bobby Lashley, and Roman comes in. They both take Bobby Lashley off the rope. Big shoulder block, double shoulder block to Lashley. Now about to split leg Lashley. I'm wondering here if maybe, see, I feel like Drew is somebody that I hate that he's in this match right now. They had done such a good job, in my opinion, with Drew McIntyre going up towards WrestleMania, and I am not suggesting in any way that Drew should have beaten Roman Reigns in Roman's first match back at WrestleMania. But I just don't think that you should have had Drew in that match. I think you could have had Drew get the rub by beating Angle in his final match if they did it that way, and had Roman come out and destroy Corbin. Clearly they want Corbin to be that guy who gets that big push. But I feel like by Drew losing to Roman and now being back in this team with Bobby Lashley, another guy who was just destroyed by Finn Balor, and oh, there we go. I like that. Flamey is calling it now that Samoa Joe will interfere and feud with AJ. That could be interesting, especially because it does seem, yeah, switching brands for sure. I hear you on that, especially because it definitely feels like Finn Balor's going to SmackDown. It definitely feels like he's heading to SmackDown. They were selling a variety of blue Finn Balor shirts all weekend at WrestleMania weekend. He's got blue gear now. It just feels like that one's probably the worst kept secret, at least unless they're just sending him out there to kind of throw everything off. But I could definitely see that. I could definitely see Samoa Joe coming out here, especially because he started to deal with Strowman randomly last week. So they could also pick up where they're going off from there. So that could be fun, and it'll be interesting to see if that's how Raw ends. How much time do they have left of Raw here? Only about 11 minutes left. So it'll be interesting to kind of see, where they go from there and what they do decide to do. Now Roman leveling Drew McIntyre. Now Roman off the ropes here. McIntyre flipping Roman into the air. If you want to see a cool special on the network, they did do a chronicle on Roman Reigns, kind of following his journey into WrestleMania week. It was a second chronicle they did part 2. The first one's about his comeback. It's interesting to see how much goes into WrestleMania week. They also put one out there of Charlotte, and boy, she was emotional during that. But you can kind of check that out for yourself and let me know what you think. So far, and let me know if I miss anyone here. So far tonight, we got The Miz on Raw. We've got Zelina Vega and Andrade. We got Rey Mysterio. We got the Usos. We got Naomi. We got Cedric Alexander from 205 Live. We got Lars Sullivan, Aleister Black, Ricochet. Seem to be solidifying themselves on a brand. Looks like EC3 was solidifying himself on the brand. And then looks like we also got the War Raiders. So Raw is stacked going into SmackDown tomorrow. They've really got to switch a couple people over there. And there also seem to be splitting up Bayley and Sasha Banks. You had Bayley and Naomi team tonight, and they ended up doing a deal where basically it looks like now, obviously the internet's gonna have fun with this because the rumors of Sasha requesting her release from WWE. So everyone's gonna have a lot of fun for the next 24 hours, kind of saying, "Oh, did she get a release?" I think more likely she'll be able to get that spotlight as a singles competitor on the SmackDown, which I think will be something that, you know, it'll be interesting to kind of see and go from there. So Raw is super stacked. I think that that'll be something that they really kind of go from there. I do think it'll be interesting to kind of see Cedric Alexander, something to kind of look up to go from there. If he loses the Cedric name, I could totally see it being him just being Alexander and going away from there. So they were even calling it the Age of Alexander last week. And I think that's it. I mean, that's basically that's all the guys that went on the Raw tonight. A completely stacked roster, though. Oh, and Eric Young. That was the last one I was looking for. I was kind of trying to figure it out. But yes, Eric Young from Sanity. So they've split up Sanity. Let's hope that Sanity, the rest of Sanity, is given a bit of a push on SmackDown, specifically Nikki Cross. I feel like she's somebody who I really hope they get behind. I was hoping maybe she'd get to switch brands a bit because I really feel like they could just do so much more with her. And I think it could be something that, you know, she's somebody that has a really unique kind of charisma to her. And it'd be interesting to kind of see where she goes from there. So who knows? But it'll be fun to watch, and it'll be fun to definitely reason to tune into SmackDown. Maybe we'll even do a final hour of SmackDown watch along. For those who are just tuning in for the first time, thanks so much for checking us out here on Watch Along Wrestling. Try to do these final hour of Raw watch alongs each week. I would love to do the full 3-hour Raw, but unfortunately, work just I don't usually get home till around 9:30. So jump on here with you guys at 10 and watch the end of the show. And hopefully this could be a place that we all could jump on and do that. As they're showing a movie, I'm sure that'll do quite well, a Pokemon Pikachu movie commercial here, at least from where I'm at. My commercials are probably different because of the fact that I do the Hulu deal with live TV. But Superstar Shakeup, I do feel like if they're going to make this work, the number one thing they need to do is keep the brands separate. This isn't going to work if 2 months from now you got everyone just all over the place and you still have Ricochet and Aleister Black bouncing between brands. They need to be solidified as folks who are, you know, a legitimate force to be reckoned with. Tomorrow morning, by the way, I will also be putting up a little bit of a, I guess, a hotline, if you call it, or whatever, looking at 5 folks I'd like to see go to SmackDown, which I'm sure if you've been watching along with me here, you can already gather a sense as to who I think is going to be going over to SmackDown. But I'll throw a couple names out there that I've been thinking about. I'd say the biggest shock for me thus far has been the War Raiders. And I know they're now the Viking Experience and they have those awful names, but I think they're the one that I just didn't think was going to happen right now because they are the tag champs. And other than the Undisputed Era, I'm not sure of anyone else that can really, you know, unless they go with somebody like the Forgotten Sons or Street Profits. Wouldn't be fun to see the Street Profits brought up tomorrow, though, honestly. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, where the tag team division goes at NXT, because tag wrestling in NXT has been something that has been a real, you know, a force. I mean, think about all the matches that have taken place, tag matches that have taken place at NXT takeovers that have been great, you know, in the past, whether it be, usually they kick off the show and they usually set the tone for every single takeover, or those great matches with American Alpha, with the Revival, with DIY, all the way up to, you know, Birch and Oni Lorcan. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where the tag division goes in NXT. now that you have lost a couple of people up there, and so many teams have came over to Raw, and hopefully the War Raiders get a better call up than the fate of many of these NXT teams like the Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, many teams that have come out from NXT that it just has not worked out. Rolled through there from Seth Rollins. Rollins with a big kick to Corbin. We'll say Corbin has, in my opinion, gotten much better in the ring. It's a shame that the final match with Kurt wasn't really good. But at the same time, I do think that it's a situation where I think that he's gotten much better. I mean, if you even think back to that match where it was the Shield against these same three guys at Fastlane, I thought it was a solid match. I thought Corbin really went in there and had good matches with everyone. And it's got to be tough to wrestle in what appears to be dress pants and a dress shirt each and every night. But I think he's definitely improved twofold, big time. Oh, sorry there, guys. And so yeah, if we're not back tomorrow night doing something live with you guys, certainly we'll break down SmackDown, and then Wednesday we'll reconnect and we'll go through every single roster of where everyone stands. Excuse me. After we're all said and done here on the Superstar Shakeup. Notice that AJ Styles has not gotten in the ring. I do think he is banged up. Hopefully he'll be okay. Interesting that they brought him and Rey Mysterio over when both guys are injured. And both of them, you saw Rey before. I mean, yes, he took a beating from Lars Sullivan, but I thought definitely looked a little trepidatious in a lot of what he was doing. It looked like he came out limping a bit. So hopefully he'll be okay going forward. And I assume that, him and AJ both will be, considering that these guys are both brought over to Raw and, are a major cog in what is the Superstar Shakeup, at least on the Raw side. So it's funny, Renee was like, this crowd is going to completely lose their minds when AJ comes in the ring. But I'm watching here, it didn't seem like the crowd's been hot most of the night, but it does seem like, the crowd is tired, I guess. And, perhaps it's been a long show. Big boot there. AJ Styles now catching. Oh, boy. Landing awkwardly is AJ. Pele kick to Bobby Lashley, taking him down. Another Pele kick here to Baron Corbin. Corbin rolls to the outside. Now AJ goes for looking like he's going for the Styles Clash to Lashley. But Claymore kick from McIntyre lays out AJ Styles here. But here it comes. No. Corbin kicks. God, I thought my blinds were falling down. Throws Roman Reigns halfway across the ring. McIntyre screaming to the crowd there in Montreal. Now Corbin going to the outside. And now kind of stalking out is McIntyre, stalking Roman out there. But a big kick here, a super kick from Seth Rollins as the fan goes in. A big Superman punch from McIntyre. That fan with a big hug on Rollins there. Big drive-by kick by Roman and a suicide plancha onto the outside from Seth Rollins. Now in the ring, it's Lashley and AJ Styles. AJ Styles kicking Lio Rush, and now Lashley. I thought they were going to have Styles lose to Lashley on his first night on Raw, which is why I stopped dead in my tracks. Thankfully, a curb stomp right into a big spear from Roman to Lashley, and now AJ Styles is now to the outside, getting ready for the phenomenal forearm. Bang! Nails the phenomenal forearm, and that should be all she wrote. It is 1, 2, 3, ending what I thought was a pretty good Raw. There's some stuff there that people are going to hate. I know there's folks are going nuts on the internet about the War Raiders, and rightfully so. That kind of sucks that they took away the War Raiders. You had to figure that, though, right? You had to figure they were not going to be able to come on national TV on Raw or SmackDown with the name the War Raiders. It just wasn't going to be something that you could really see happening, you know, with the war deal there. But if that's the case, have some insight and change their names before they come up. Don't call them. I mean, they were War Machine in Japan. Don't call them the War Raiders in NXT and get everyone so excited to see them. Call them the Viking Experience there. At least have everyone get rid of their frustrations while they're in NXT and not get super frustrated once they get called to the main roster, because there's a good portion of crossover between the, you know, folks who watch Raw and SmackDown and the folks that watch NXT. So, you know, I thought a good Raw other than that. I know people aren't going to be happy about it, but I thought, again, the Sami Zayn segment, my favorite segment of the night, might go down as my favorite segment of the year. And really cool to see AJ Styles here on Raw. Would have been cool, in my opinion, to see AJ lay out Seth here. But looks like they're going to end the show. So AJ, big time face. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time we see Roman Reigns on Raw until they build up some of the bigger matches for some of the bigger shows. I think he is the #1 guy going to SmackDown. I think with AJ flipping brands, I think that's something that you could kind of depend on there, and I'm willing to bet that's the way they decide to go with it. So we'll see. We'll see kind of how it goes, but thank you guys so much for checking us out here tonight on Watch Along Wrestling. It's been a lot of fun catching back up with you guys after just a crazy WrestleMania 35 week. If you didn't get a chance yet, go check out my blog. 7 straight days of nonstop WrestleMania fun. And after that, I did a little recap show, kind of just talking about everything, talking what it was like to be there live. So if you didn't get enough WrestleMania, go check that out. Have fun with it. And thanks again to everybody who subscribed, who helped out, and who watched those videos. It's been a lot of fun, and it's great to be back here with you guys here, talking about Raw, doing these live streams, and hearing what you guys have to say about it again. So if you participated in the live chat, thanks so much, and we'll be back again real soon here on Watch Along Wrestling. Until next time, everybody, subscribe, turn the bell on, do all that jazz, and I will see you guys tomorrow.